Hi, I'm Joe Walensky of ConveyUX, Program Manager for the event that we have coming up here in Seattle in January, talking with some of the many presenters who will be giving talks at the conference. And today I'm visiting with Jake Fleisher of BlinkUX. Hello, Jake.
Morning, Joe. How are you doing?
Everything's good. Where are you talking to us from today?
I am in the Blink UX office in sunny Seattle by the waterfront.
All right, well, same as me. And of course, I'm familiar with your work, but why don't you tell us a little bit about types of things that you're involved in and kind of day in the life for Jake Fleischer.
Okay. Um, I do research and design here at Blink, and most of my research work is needs identification, kind of very front end processes where our clients are looking to identify new opportunities. Just got done with a project that was in 5 cities and 3 countries, and that was really interesting to see the similarities and differences. And then on the design side, I involve design in my research work and uh, try to use that as a tool to help communicate the work and to help the analysis and synthesis tasks that we do when we're here in the office.
I know you're always involved in a wide variety of projects, trying out new things. Any new design thoughts or areas that you're particularly interested in right now?
Well, I think the easy one for that is my topic that I'm going to speak about at Convey UX, which is about UX design when hardware is involved and those interactions between screens and physical interactions. That's been an interest of mine for a long time, and I think it's pretty important now as we kind of move into a distributed, smaller device world, the Internet of Things, as it's called. And I've always been interested in communication and how our work is communicated to clients, colleagues, managers, etc. And so part of my research work, I'm always trying to um, get people out onto the whiteboard, like you see behind us. This is some artifacts of a project we're just getting done with, and I find that. Uh, just writing and drawing on a whiteboard is so incredibly different than communicating via electronic means or documents on a screen. That really helps to um, get my colleagues kind of to understand what's going on and to for all of us to come to kind of be in the same area when we're deciding what directions we're going to take with our recommendations and with our synthesis work that we're doing.
And you mentioned drawing, and I can do some sketching to get my point across, but generally that amounts to some stick figures and arrows and circles and things like that. Your sketching is definitely a level above that. You have a really good descriptive sketching language. Where did you acquire the skills for in that area?
Well,
Besides a lot of practice.
well, I got a lot of good training in my industrial design undergraduate work, and that's kind of forms the basis of my sketching skills. And and I like to sketch, so I do continue to practice it. And it's really it's a trainable skill, and the rules are pretty simple. It's the practice part that's hard. So a lot of late nights in school and try to keep up with it now, and liking it certainly helps.
Well, your topic at the conference is Naked UX, hardware case studies and physical interaction design. And I think this is an area a lot of people want to learn more about. I think for a lot of us, the majority of work that we're involved with is related to digital products,
Mhm.
websites or apps. But you've done a lot of work uh, with hardware products. So tell us a little bit about your work in that area and how you came up with the theme for this particular talk.
Well, just a note on the title. It was kind of a barefaced attempt at getting people to pay attention to it by putting the word naked in there. So, um, other than that, it really centers on how to approach and think about interaction design when there's hardware involved. And uh, I've been involved in this area for, I guess, maybe 15 plus years. In my career as a designer and researcher, and when you add the component of hardware and physical interaction to a product, then of course it opens up a whole new world of complexity, not just in making sure you get the user experience correct, but in making sure that you get your development correct as well. Because when you're making hardware, doing stuff with hardware, then the development process gets a lot more interesting. Usually gets longer, although not necessarily. And there's a lot more balls in the air. For instance, how do you make sure that the thing you touch sends the signal to the system in the right way, and that the whatever display or system feedback is involved is the right thing for you. So I love that layer of complexity that adds to it, and learned a lot along the way. Want to share some of that, some of the stories in my talk, and um, hopefully have some good ones that will keep people interested. Some of the failures, that's always good.
Yeah, and I don't want to delve too much into what you're going to talk about in Seattle, but just while we're here, I'm sure there's been a lot of unique challenges related to the hardware products that you've worked with over the years. What are some of the things that that have confronted you that have led you down some interesting design paths?
Well, I think probably the most interesting thing and maybe the biggest challenge is um, at any design process, you have to freeze the design at some point and move forward and refine what you've decided to go forward with. And if people think that's a tough decision point for just interaction design, it's really tough when you do hardware, because you're talking about um, uh, cutting tooling and making a lot of decisions that have a lot of kind of costs associated with them. And I think the toughest thing is to know when to draw that line in hardware and say, we're going to go with this design. Um, I've seen in the past where hardware design has been frozen too early in the process, and then the uh, the follow up in the production and development process is all about trying to kind of optimize something that's not so great to begin with, and that's really a tough thing to do. And one of my old colleagues used to say to me, and I think it's probably a pretty well known saying, is there's never enough time to do it right, but there's always time to fix it. So, when it comes out crappy in the end, you're going to have to fix it. So it's a good thing to get it right the first time. And sometimes you only know that in hindsight, unfortunately.
All right, well, I'm looking forward to hearing your presentation at the conference, and we'll see that all happen in just a few weeks.
Yeah, I look forward to seeing you there too, Joe. Thanks
All
for.
right, thanks, Jake.
All right, you're welcome. Bye bye.